Big companies might be able to offer bigger salaries, but the truth is people don't just stay for the money. A 2023 CIPD report found that only 28% of workers cite pay as the main reason for staying, meaning over 70% are loyal for other reasons. So how can a small business like yours compete and actually keep staff even when the big players come a-knocking? Hi, I'm Kathy Doherty, the People Navigator, and today we're going to look at just some of the ways that small businesses can win on loyalty without needing the same budget as those huge corporates. Play to your strengths, and that's on those personal connections. In those huge corporates, people really are just a number. Believe me, I have sat in those meetings and they really are treated just as a number on a spreadsheet, the true meaning of human resources with that evil HR. But you, as a smaller business, you don't need to even think of people like that, which is why I hate the term human resources, because it focuses on the resources and less on the human. So for you, instead of being a faceless corporate, you can have the edge of actually getting to know your people properly, who they are as a whole human being. That's if you're wise. Your team wants to feel seen. So things like remembering somebody's birthday, celebrating little wins, for example, those little steps forwards, the little nudgements of somebody developing in some way that might not seem that much, but if you focus on it and you acknowledge it, it's that little boost. So hearing whatever their concerns are. Yes, even the whiny ones, because sometimes they do bring some value. You can encourage people to respectfully share who they really are. Again, you can do the holistic thing much more effective and efficiently than a big corporate tanker where they really are just a tiny cog in this massive machine. And unless they are making a massive positive impact on the business, they are so replaceable. And even then, those high impact employees in a big corporate, they're replaceable, because those big corporates will always look to what their shareholders want, whereas you as the smaller business can look towards your people as well as your clients, as well as the business, without the pressure of those shareholder meetings and the markets paying attention to every single move that you make. That closeness to your people is your secret weapon. Offer flexibility where the big corporates can't. Those sorts of organizations do tend to have a one-size-fits-all approach. There might be little tweaking around the edges, but it is generally the computer says no approach to many things. If you've got good people, this is going to be a much easier decision for you. You can show that flexibility because you need their flexibility too. You need mutual flexibility. In those large organizations, they are very much about reinforcing their policy and procedure to a point that mitigates their risk, because they're dealing with so many people and so many moving parts. Can get overwhelmingly complex if they try to offer the flexibility that you actually can. And also what you find in those organizations is because they have so many more tiers to them, you'll have so many different interpretations of the same thing, which just creates a nightmare. However, what you can do is you can connect with your people. You can show the flexibility. But again, as I've mentioned before, be mindful of any precedents that you set that another employee might reasonably expect to have the same flexibility. But you can adapt. You can be more flexible and agile and responsive, whether it be your hybrid arrangement or being able to design roles around people's strengths. When you spot somebody is good at something, you've more flexibility. There's fewer tiers and levels of approval that are needed if you want to use that and respond to that. That sense of control and freedom cannot be met in those larger organizations. That's just how they operate. It's not possible for them to give the same flexibility and freedoms that you can in your smaller business. A lot of them are grounds for breeding corporate clones. Everybody looks the same, talks the same, thinks the same. They are clones. That definitely doesn't need to be the case in your organization. Give variety and growth. The way that most bigger organizations are structured is that you have people who are siloed. They are focused on specific tasks in a specific role, and it's quite narrow. They usually try to say, well, the beauty is you get to move around all these different roles. However, as a smaller organization, you can actually encompass so many opportunities within the one role, so many exposure points, because you won't have the same level of siloing that you will have in those huge organizations. And that creates an opportunity where the employee can grow quicker, faster, their level of knowledge and experience is deeper, quicker and faster than if they go into the massive corporate machines where you have the escalator experience, where somebody starts at one level and whatever they do, no matter what they do, they continue increasing each year. Maybe it's their job title, maybe it's a piece of work, but there's no real growth. It's just they passively stand on this escalator that continues going up. For you, it's about framing this as career building as opposed to fulfilling a role. And that is where you do have that opportunity, because you don't need those many siloed roles. In fact, that will potentially stagnate your ability to do what you need to do. And remember to emphasize that when you're talking to anybody who might be weighing up, should I go to this huge corporate where I'm just a number? Or do I stay here where I have more direct access to the decision makers and I have an opportunity to influence not just potentially the business, but also how my career is shaped and the depth of my knowledge? And usually for most smaller businesses, they encourage that because they understand how it can actually benefit the business. Make their impact visible. In a smaller business, it's easier to see the impact so long as you highlight it, so long as you make a point of drawing their attention to it, not just going, well, that's to be expected, that's the limit, that's what I expect of my people. Highlight those things and share how that individual's work directly impacts on the business, on the clients and customers, and the bottom line, because that then creates a more meaningful connection beyond them just receiving a paycheck or coming in mindlessly doing what they do every day and really they're not really making an impact. Be consistently fair and honest. Consistency is usually the hardest thing for many of us humans, not just when it comes to people, but when it comes to many aspects of our life. We can start out with a great flourish and great intentions, but reality kicks in and we soon lay that to the side and return to what we were doing before. I have always said that if an organization is spending a disproportionate amount on the perks, they're probably getting the basics wrong. And those bigger firms might be able to offer all these flashy kind of packages, but that doesn't mean that they are doing things better than you. What can happen is once there's a change to those packages and perks, loyalty can crumble away quite quickly because that's all that was keeping the people there in the first place. However, if you are a person of your word, you're consistent, you're fair, and you treat people with respect as the whole human beings that they are, your team will think twice before deciding to jump ship. It will be a harder decision for them. You don't just want it to be a head or a heart decision. You want to be smart about it, and it's the combination of both. And remind people of what they've got with you. The way that people will remember it is if you do it consistently, repeating it regularly, not just a one-off once a year. So remember, you might not be able to compete on salary, but you can compete on the lived experience. Loyalty is about how people feel day to day, not just what's on their payslip and not just the occasional big gesture. We all know the leaders who are all talk, and that just gradually erodes trust in them. What's one thing you do that makes your workplace and your team feel special? Drop it in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more people first advice. And if you'd be interested in a Thriving Leadership Essentials playbook that helps you build belonging, people and business results, then pop to the website for your free download. I'll put the link in the comment below. See you next time.